Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. This is the Scott and Shelly special takeover for Ecamm Live. We are so excited to be here with you. And I know that for a lot of you, you may have made a New Year's resolution to maybe get started with live streaming or perhaps even start a YouTube channel. This is your year. This is your year, people. So before we get into it, I want to take a second to, one, thank Ecamm for having us, and two, we are going to introduce ourselves so we can get started and talk to you about a whole bunch of different ways that maybe you've never thought of using Ecamm, or just great ideas if you are an experienced user. So first things first, I'm going to introduce my co-host here and let him actually introduce himself, because you can do it better than I can. So this is Scott Peachy, also known as Lord Peachy, also known as Technically Speaking here on YouTube. Scott, take it away. Let them know who you are.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Sorry, I'm normally in a big studio with shiplap behind me, but my internet's down, and I don't know if you know this, but to live stream, you have to have the internet. So I came over to a friend's house. Everything that you see here is his. You can blame him for all of that. But like Shelly said, I am Scott Peachy. I am on youtube.com/technically speaking. I have been an Ecamm user for a long time now. So when Shelly asked, was like, hey, do you want to do this channel takeover? I was like, yeah, I do. I totally do, because I love everything that Ecamm has done. And honestly, since everything that's happened in 2020, I am the greatest looking person when it comes to my work conference calls. And all of that is thanks to Ecamm.
That's so cool. I know you actually had some ways that we're going to get into that I hadn't even thought of either. And I think it's so interesting, the different ways that people use Ecamm. And there's a couple ways that I've used it that maybe you haven't as well. So I think between the two of us, we have an extensive list of ways to possibly use Ecamm. And if you've never met me, my name is Shelly, and I have a channel called Shelly Saves the Day. And we are going over how to have a YouTube channel, live streaming topics, as well as video editing. So if you're interested in that, I would love to see you over there on my channel as well. So today we are talking to all of you who have either maybe not fully utilized Ecamm to its fullest potential, and I think there are a lot of you out there in that circumstance. And here's the thing. First of all, I would highly encourage any of you to come over to the Ecamm Live Facebook group. And the reason I say that is because it is one of the most helpful and kind groups of any that I've seen, period. And so there are a lot of great people in there that are going to be able to help you with questions, and you get to see all kinds of chats with Glenn and Ken and everyone about everything that's going on. So I would highly encourage you to join that Facebook group. I'm sure someone could probably link that down below. But we are talking to all of the people who are newer to Ecamm, or maybe just thinking, how do I incorporate live streaming or not into my YouTube channel this year? So we have a list, of course we do, because that's how we roll. And we are going to go through a whole bunch of different ways to use Ecamm and how we have personally used Ecamm as well, because we are both, the two of us, we are huge Ecamm fans. So.
Oh yeah, very much so. And go ahead. I was going to say, take it away. You are the host. I am here for you. I was going to say, there's a lot of things that I do, and I know we're going to get into that, but I kind of hinted at it in the very beginning, is the idea of Ecamm has really given me the ability to be the best looking one for all my work calls because of its ability to do certain things that a lot of people don't necessarily think about. It's not just a plug and play quick live streaming thing. It is so much more than that. So I'm going to kind of hit on the work stuff from my perspective. So on my MacBook, I can plug in, fire up Ecamm to where I can have a virtual camera, and I could even use my iPhone 11, 12, 8 for that matter, any iPhone that you have, and I can use that as a camera using Ecamm and their virtual cam setup to, again, get away from that very sketchy looking webcam that every laptop seems to have.
They're the worst.
And I can have something, they really are the worst. And it's like, that's one piece of tech that I am not sure why we're still stuck in 1998, but I digress. The idea I can use my iPhone and have 4K goodness, and I don't have to worry at all. It charges my iPhone while I'm using it. Again, using the power of Ecamm to do all of these different things. That is just something that's very, very small. You can use it ranging from the live shows like we're doing right now, YouTube, you can use Facebook Live, Instagram. There's just, it's limitless in terms of the possibilities that you have. So from my perspective on the work side of the house, that is what I really like to do. And every person that I've ever run into that says, why do you look and sound so good? It's like, yeah, well, actually part of that I chalk up to Ecamm, because it gives me the ability to use a lot of the services, and that's not even using it when it comes to live streaming. That's just using Ecamm as the software full package that it totally is.
You're so well spoken. I know you've heard that too at all of your work. Okay, so the first way that we're talking about is yes. So everyone who is now virtually working from home, maybe doing a lot of calls, Google Meet, you have the ability to bring in your video feed source using Ecamm, either actually as a virtual camera, so you can do green screen effects if you wanted to. You can just actually then use higher quality cameras instead of the built-in cameras and look so much better than all of your coworkers, which is really the point, right? All right, so we are going to talk a little bit.
I mean, for me, it's like, it's a little bit like, hey, I got to be the best on camera, especially since they say, like, you're the YouTuber, you should always look good.
I know.
Well, now you see why.
Well, you've seen those, I love that one comic or the meme where it's like, you can always tell who, like, the gamer or the streamer is of, like, your work crew, because they've got, like, all of these, like, lights and everything set up. It's so true, though. Yep. It's very, very, very true. So I do want to talk a little bit about some of the people who have maybe been affected by kind of the current climate that we're in. You know, gyms are closed and things are closed right now. So if you're a fitness instructor, a yoga instructor, a one-on-one personal trainer, how are you still able to connect with your clients? And one of the things that you could use Ecamm for is actually booking one-on-one sessions, or actually doing group fitness classes through something like Ecamm, and actually creating an entire live streaming experience for your students. Now, whether you choose to broadcast that into something like a paid Facebook group, or to an unlisted YouTube video or something like that, that's up to you. But it's also a great way for you to do one-on-one type of personal consultations with your clients. So you could still be doing things where they're doing squats at home, you're watching them and you're saying, hey, you didn't go all the way down, or your knees are not in the correct position. That's just another way, and that's not even something that has to be broadcast to the internet, because even before we did this live, Scott and I were backstage and we were talking, and of course you guys didn't see that because we hadn't hit the go live to the internet button, but we were still able to do a video conference call between us. So even that is something that you're able to do if you're using something like the interview mode. That is going to be a feature on the pro level license, where you can then bring in people as guests, and you can do different things like change out camera angles or do any of that, so you can kind of see what's going on and have a conversation with them that way. So that's another way that you might also be able to use it.
Yeah, and a couple things on that as well is, like, when you use that interview mode, you actually just get a regular old URL link. So it's something that's very common for everybody. If you're on your phone receiving it in a message, you can basically press that message and it automatically opens up in some, like, a Chrome, Safari, a Firefox type window. It's very intuitive to use. You're literally getting, like, what's your name, what's your camera and your microphone, and that's it. And if you're using it on a phone, you can join right from a phone. It's very easy when you're using that interview mode. But on top of that, Shelly talked a lot about the personalization. Look right below us, right here. Hopefully I'm pointing right here.
Yeah.
It's like right here, this overlay that you have right here, you can personalize. Like, let's say you had a workout facility or a workout regimen that you wanted somebody to have. You can create these overlays that you see here to personalize it exactly from that person. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it here in a little bit from a recording perspective. But then that person can go back and reuse that same workout over and over again, utilizing that personalized overlay that they had based on the one recording that personalized coach had from their particular recording. So it's, again, function type software that you're using. just got to think a little bit exactly everything that you have that you could use. Just absolutely wonderful to have.
Now you could also create an overlay at the bottom that's animated that is also like a timer effect. So if you are someone who is a personal trainer or someone, if you are doing 60 seconds of burpees or whatever it is, then you have an on-screen visual reminder for your client. You've got yourself, and then you've got kind of that animated graphic, so it makes it look and feel a little bit more professional. And here's the thing is, what you could also do is, because Ecamm a lot of the time is going to keep a recording on your computer, you could even record that session and upload it later so that the person could utilize it as a later workout. And also you could charge for a service such as that, because you could then let them have their own subscription or whatever to all of their own videos if you wanted to. So there's lots of ways that you could incorporate Ecamm into that kind of usage. So the next one that we have on the list is going to be church services. So I'm currently in Seattle. We're currently restricted to for anything under a church type of classification where it's less than 25 people or less than a certain amount of capacity in a building, but some of these congregations are very big. So a lot of them have now transitioned into services which are streaming from home and being able to still broadcast out that message. So a lot of people are turning to Ecamm so that they can broadcast a service to a lot of people, whether that's Facebook, or YouTube or whatever else it is. And that's just another way that you could use it. And a lot of services I've seen have actually started to do that as well. Have you kind of seen that too?
Yeah, I've seen it a lot from, I've seen a ton of individuals where they'll actually, they'll reach out to the congregation and say, hey, does anybody know how to do this? And 9 times out of 10, somebody in the congregation goes, I can figure that out. I know exactly what to do with that. And so they're leaning on that one particular member of the church or the congregation to say, hey, how can we make this readily available while also still being safe? And you're seeing some folks that's normally maybe behind the scenes really coming to shine, using different pieces of software. Maybe they got a lot of cameras, and they're linking all this stuff together to give a great feel to where people can still, attend the services that they choose, albeit from the safety of their own home. And the great thing is I think we're also starting to see these services start to get out to individuals that maybe had never been really comfortable with it, but are now getting more comfortable with it because we haven't had much of a choice. So I think you're going to start to see the acceptance of things like this become much more widely accepted. And it's great to see the different services, especially some of the things that we've seen with Ecamm making a lot of the updates that they had. You can start to really see the difference where they're going in building this a really robust yet nimble piece of software.
I want to take a second to acknowledge a couple of the people in the audience. So we have Rob Hitch, and he says, hey guys, Happy New Year. I use Ecamm and a good mic mainly to stand out on Zoom and Skype, just like you said. And the quality makes me stand out, and the other attendees tend to get blown away when I use overlays, which is awesome. I love that. And the next one, I don't want to get like Ecamm, although they don't monetize their videos. I don't want to get them demonetized, so I won't say the name of the channel, but it says, best program ever, tons of functionality for the price, and it's dumb easy to use, go Browns. So Baker Mayfield had a very good night last night. Good for them. So,
I'll bet you I know who that is. They do a live show, I think, every Tuesday. If it's the same people that I think it is, my guess is that they probably are. Seen the show. And look, their show is top notch. And yeah, it's, again, for pieces of software like this, go Browns. That's right. I stayed up late last night, and I got another late night tonight with Ohio State. But hey, it's worth it. It's all worth it.
And I want to give a special shout out, JS23 Gaming. Thank you for your super chat as well, and for being here. I appreciate you so much. And we're going to be moving on. This one is special, near and dear to my heart. This is under the umbrella of course creation. Excuse me. And so I actually released an e-course, and it's called iMovie Made Easy, and it's taking people through learning the ins and outs of iMovie. And one of the things I was really desperate to achieve was making sure that I was still on screen at the same time as showing what I was doing on screen and editing. But I was really not looking forward to do the whole screen recording, come back later, do the voiceover of the whole thing. And Ecamm actually made it so that I could record directly to my computer, and I could have myself as an overlay on top of the iMovie page. And then I was able to record it once instead of twice. So it saved me so much time. I was able to kind of do things like point over here, like where I wanted people to click, and like, you know, different like functionality and buttons that I wanted to point out. And it's such a better experience. So when you're doing something like course creation and the ability, there were so many times I was like, oh, I need to change to a circle or a square or the way, like how big I am on screen. And that entire, like, I actually ended up using Ecamm for months first as just recording and for doing my e-course before I ever live streamed with it. And so I probably went backwards from a lot of people, but it was instrumental monumentally for me getting out my e-course. I would have never been able to have done it without Ecamm. So if you are someone who's also doing something like that, whether it's, you know, teaching people how to code or teaching people social media stuff or whatever it is, you can record all of your course content inside of Ecamm and then save that to your computer and then use and edit as you normally would. So I will say that was a fantastic function for me.
And it's funny that you mentioned kind of doing it backwards, because I got into Ecamm specifically for the live streaming rather than the recording. Like, I didn't record until several months using Ecamm for the live feature. But the idea, now that I've started to do things like recording, and there's been a lot of videos that I've recently made that I knew that I needed my most robust setup. So I was doing some side-by-side comparisons from an audio perspective. And because of that ability to record, I was able to record exactly what you would hear and see inside the studio in a controlled environment, not having to worry about like, well, did I get the camera in the right spot? Did I get the microphone in the right spot? No, Ecamm gave me the ability to say, no, we're going to take all of that out for you. Just literally sit there, do your one side-by-side thing that you can do. And it gave me the ability to create this semi-controlled environment when it came to do some of these side-by-side comparisons from the Android and iPhone phone comparisons that I was doing. So without the ability, I would have been trying to do all of that, multitask, as well as getting multi-camera and multi-microphone. Like, I don't know how to do all that. Ecamm cleared that up for me to give me the ability to just concentrate on being and doing the side-by-side comparisons rather than worrying about doing a whole production where I need multiple people. So I'm glad that people are starting to use it for the recording feature rather than just the live.
And speaking of the recording feature, I know it's later down in the list, but I just thought I would share this one because I thought it was so great. You can record inside of Ecamm at all different sizes and shapes as well. So I actually discovered not that long ago that you can change the way that the video is, and if you wanted to actually record vertical video 9:16, it will actually record that for you, cut down the middle for you, and then I can take that content and then I can put it on IGTV or Instagram or whatever else it is, and I know exactly what's in frame. So that has actually been like a really big breakthrough for me recently, because I enjoy having this camera, this lens, this setup, this lighting, and I don't always want to have to pull out my phone or have to turn my camera and shoot that way. So I was like, oh, I can actually just leave the camera set up the way that it is and actually shoot vertical and just have it crop out the center, and it will record it to the computer, and then I can edit it, which is amazing. So we'll definitely get into that as well. Yeah. I do want to say there was a question in here as well. I'm sure we'll get to it, but Brad Miller says, I've been using Ecamm streaming from Facebook page for several months, and I'm looking to create a YouTube channel. Yay! Can you live stream from both Facebook and YouTube simultaneously, and which channel is best to start from? So, yes.
Well. I was going to say that segues nicely to the very next thing, so I say take it away.
That's why we're talking about it. So, yes, what you're talking about, if you want the signal to go out to multiple places at the same time. So, technically right now, we are in a Facebook group. We are in my Facebook page, actually. We are on YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, and Ecamm's YouTube channel and my own YouTube channel. So we are pushing out one signal to all of these different places, which is great because you don't want to have to go live 6 times on each of these different platforms. So I am using a program that's called Restream, and that basically takes it. So if you configure it properly, hopefully we're doing it in all the places correctly, you can select your destinations and push out the same signal to multiple places. So that's how you would be able to do that. Now, I know that on the free version, you would probably be able to go to a personal profile. You do have to be at an upgraded level to go to like a profile page, like a page or a group. So just keep that in mind. All right. So, but we are going to be...
But I will say with Restream, though, you can get quite a bit of stuff for free. So if you, I have been able to use the free version of Restream, and I go live on YouTube, what used to be Periscope, or Twitter, and Facebook, as well as one other place, Twitch. Not that I have a whole lot of Twitch, but the idea is, like, even on the free version, you can really start to push that signal out there. And then as you start to grow, it gives you the ability to do that. Again, the integration between the two pieces of software is really fantastic.
Yep. And with the free version, like I said, you can still do multiple places at the same time and your Facebook page. It's just, I know that on you need to be on a paid version to get into a group. So that's kind of what I've seen there. But I think they still allow you to go free, and you can definitely check it out. And if you're on my YouTube channel right now, I have a link in the description for checking it out if you need to know where to go, but it's restream.io. But this is going to come into being able to live stream. So it's actually funny because, yes, it is next on the list. So we're talking about being able to be on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Facebook, and more. And so integrating and pushing out with Restream is really, really great because you can do all the configurations, the overlays, everything, the special effects, the sounds that you want inside of Ecamm, making it as professional as you want and look very familiar. And then you can just use Restream to multi-broadcast, which is really, really great. So if you have questions about that, make sure you ask us or drop it in the chat, because I'm sure we could help you out with that. And there are also, for people who are looking to do additional, there is also a broadcasting into Amazon as well. So if you happen to be part of the Associates program, they do have an influencer type program where you can stream on their platform as well. So the next thing that we had on the list is going to be doing interviews. Now this could be, it could be, interviewing for a job. It could be interviewing for a podcast as a guest. And one of the really great things about Ecamm is that, like Scott mentioned earlier, it's actually just a link. So even though to run Ecamm, you need to be on a Mac, the person on the other end who is an interview guest does not have to be on a Mac. They can be on or they can be on a phone, and they're still going to be able to come in as well. So it's really easy because similar to Zoom, you have that single join link, and it's a very easy interface for them, and it doesn't get too confusing. I think that the interview mode that they have is really fantastic, and you can have several people in, and you can assign them spots, and I think it looks really, really great when you do that and cycle through people. But I will let you talk about interview mode if you'd like.
Yeah, I was going to say interview mode is something that I've used a lot, especially on my live shows. When I conduct a live show, and if I have a guest that's out, I don't have time to kind of configure, like it used to be, okay, I'm going to bring Skype in, I'm going to do all this other stuff, which, by the way, Ecamm is integrated with Skype, which is super nice, and it's very easy. But then you have those folks who are like, I haven't used Skype in forever. I don't know what my Skype login is or anything like that. But what Ecamm has done now is made it, again, super easy. Just send them the URL. And then the other person on the other end, they can use the equipment that they are with. They could have a very similar setup to like what me and Shelly have. They could just be using their phone. They could just be holding up their phone like this and having a conversation. It puts the power back into whatever the person is comfortable with. It makes them at ease of being on camera or being interviewed, and they don't have to think about it from the technical perspective. They only have to think about the conversation that they're getting ready to have. Again, it's taking the software and making the software work for you to where you can concentrate your brain meat, your brain power in answering or interviewing or being on camera or something like that. So again, huge kudos. And they give you, depending on the version that you get, if you're on the pro version, you get a lot of hours that are out there. So it's definitely something to check out. I don't come even remotely close to using all of the hours that I provided from a pro perspective. So they are very much flexible in terms of that. That's something to consider depending on how many people that you have on. If it's a potential podcast or something of that nature where you want to record the video as well as the audio, and I know that we're going to be talking about podcasting coming up very soon, is that's going to give you a ton of potential by using that. It's all connected in one spot, making it, again, super easy for you to kind of future-proof yourself in the things that you're trying to do.
It's so awesome. Yes, we are going to be talking about podcasting too. It's actually next on the list. So if you are someone who is doing podcasting, I know it's beautiful. If you are someone who is doing podcasting, a lot of people are doing video podcasting as well, or a lot of people are just ripping out the audio. I think it's also a really interesting space because I think as the time goes on, I think a lot of people, they love podcasts, but it's this added extra level of being able to have the video as well. So you can take the video, you can put it on YouTube, people can watch the mannerisms and how you speak, or, you know, perhaps you can even do it as a live preview for a perk of some sort for your membership or something, and then you rip out the audio and then you put it up on Anchor or wherever you put it up. And the cool thing about Ecamm is you can now record separate tracks for each person. I don't know if you know that, because so before it used to just be, it would be combined and down into one, but it will also give you a separate audio track from your video file, which is amazing because a lot of the time you don't want to have to go into a program, separate out the audio, and then bring it into whatever audio editor you might be using. Now they're just giving you an audio file, which is amazing. So if you're a podcaster, you have now so much more potential to do video podcasting or just, you know, having the audio for your regular podcasting. It's so easy. They make it so simple for you. I mean, you have a podcast.
For me, it used
I have
to be
a
like
podcast.
Yeah, it was not easy when I first got started. I was like, I'm going to do a podcast and a video one, and I was like, oh my God, why did I do this? It's so much work. Now, this is life before Ecamm was something like this. I would make I would go live maybe on a piece of software, maybe like OBS. Not to say that it's bad or anything like that. I would go live on OBS. I wouldn't record anything like that at all. I would put the video up on YouTube. I would wait for that video to process. I would then download that video, and then I would put that video into my Final Cut Pro or maybe Adobe Premiere or something like that, strip out the audio, take that audio, maybe play around with the levels a little bit, maybe Adobe Audition or something like that, and then re-upload that to Anchor or Podbean or something like that. Yeah, that was a lot of work, but like Shelly just said, I don't have to worry about that because now I can strip out that audio. It gives me a separate track to where I'm already doing my live shows. I have Ecamm set up that every time I do a live show, it automatically downloads a copy of that particular live show directly to my hard drive in my Mac and gives me the separate track for my MP3. That way, now all I have to do is literally click, drag, boom, Podbean, and the show is done literal minutes after I have already been live. Whereas before, I would just get too lazy, and then I would be like 50 episodes behind uploading to Podbean, which is pretty much the truth right now. But Ecamm's making that easier for me to be able to push out the content to all of these different people willing to consume it. So yeah, this literally made me less lazy, more efficient.
More productive, more efficient, right?
More efficient. Let's go with that. Yeah.
I had a very similar workflow. So I would record, let's say, an interview with someone. I would then try and wait for a video to process. I would download it. I would extract the audio once it was in Final Cut Pro. Then I would run it in through like GarageBand or something like that and try and play with the levels. Yep. It was a lot of the same steps. And so I don't want to listen to myself that many times over. Sorry. But like it just takes so long. And it was like, ugh, it's too much work to even get a podcast episode out. So I'd just be like, ugh, and then you get behind, just like you said. So I have to say it's such a great feature that they've implemented. I'm so happy that they've done that. So if you are someone who is doing a lot of these types of interviews, that might really be something that you could use, even if you're not going live, even if you're just kind of doing the interview mode and connecting just like you regularly would for like a Skype or a Zoom call, and you never push it out online, it's still going to be such a better way for you to do all of your podcasting needs. So I definitely wanted to make sure that we talk about that. And the next thing is going to be for all of you service-based providers out there who are doing things like coaching. Now, if you're doing things like one-on-one or, one-on-a-few type things, this is the type of program that you could actually come in and use as well. So if you are someone who's doing like a relationship coaching or anything like that, and people can't come see you right now, this is the type of thing. You don't have to broadcast this, so it's not technically live streaming. It's just a video conferencing app. And so you can use that for basically talking with your clients. And the nice thing is, just like Zoom or anything like that, you can record if you need those sessions, and you're not running up against some of these limits as well, because it's just going to be stored on your computer, or if you want to save those audio files or whatever else you need to do. This is a really like much more expeditious way of being able to have any of those coaching programs, because then every time you have a coaching call with Scott or something, you have a file folder for all of the ones with Scott. So this could be set up so that it could just make your flow so much simpler, and then you don't have to worry about like, where is this file and where, you know, what happens, or did I start the recording, which happens a lot, because in Zoom, if you don't actually hit the record button and you lose the session, you actually lose the session. So this is, since it's automatically recorded, it's just it's great for that kind of thing. So I would say that's a huge benefit for anyone who is doing any kind of coaching calls. Because go ahead.
I was going to say, and a couple things I'd call out on that is, not only do you have the ability to have that, you have this nice archive to go through. And I know one of the questions that might come up is like, that's all great, but how large are these files when it comes to like, you're constantly recording? Now I can tell you that when I do my live streams, I live stream in as the highest quality that I can possibly get, definitely nothing less than 1080p or anything like that. And about an hour's worth to me is somewhere between 800, like almost a gig. So we're not talking about tremendously large files when it comes to the grand scheme of things. So that's the first great thing about having this archive, is the idea that you could put it out there and say like, all right, every 6 months I'm going to cold store this particular thing or something along those lines. You don't have to worry about tremendously large files. So that's the first good thing. And the second good thing, and I was just kind of thinking about this through, is I go back to that interviewing, coaching, podcasting, maybe somebody wants some type of written content. When you come to the fact that you have that MP3 player, you could potentially upload that MP3 into some sort of transcription type service and get the transcription of what that just was. And it could be a good ability for you to have some sort of written document that you would want to give to somebody that maybe that they're more interested in the written word than they are watching a video. Again, all of this is made possible through the idea of that recording using Ecamm and then getting the ability to get that raw video file or the raw MP3. And you can do so much with just that bit of information. And Ecamm makes it easy for you to have that.
I think there was a question in here. It says, is the audio track MP3 or MP4? And I was actually just looking at one of mine. It looks like it's a .m4a. is what it is on mine. So I don't know. Hopefully that helps. And then when it comes to videos, you do have the choice of recording and saving as a .mov or a .mp4. And so the MP4 will take up less room. So if you're definitely concerned about hard drive space, you could definitely do that. But you do have the choice as well there. And then there's a question from John Neal. He says, can the virtual webcam function be included in the standard version? Is virtual webcam? Is it in standard version?
I don't think it is. I think it's in the pro.
It's in the pro version, right?
I don't know. I know for sure that it's in the pro because I'm on it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on pro too, so it's like, oh no. I honestly, I don't know.
I think it's only pro, but I remember when they first turned that on, that was a while ago. And honestly, I haven't checked since. I think it's just the pro though.
I know interview mode is just pro. I guess maybe if someone from Ecamm from the chat could also confirm or deny that for the virtual webcam, you also need to be on pro. So let us know. Let us know on that one. So we're going to be moving into our next one, which is going to be social catch-ups. And so this actually just happened last night. I have some friends that basically I haven't seen, well, in 9 months or so. And so we did a virtual catch-up last night. So it was just, us and them and, talking about everything that's new and going on in our lives and stuff like that. So a lot of people forget that, again, you don't have to use Ecamm just for live streaming. You can use it, especially with this interview mode, for basically a conference call and just talking between you guys. And the cool thing is there's so many hours that are allotted to you. It's like 100 hours, which is going to be really hard to get through all of that. And even if you have a ton of guests on your show show at the same time. They're not charging you per person. They're charging you for total time that you're live. So if you had 5 of your friends live for 1 hour, it's not counting it as 5 hours. It's counting it as 1 hour still. So keep that in mind. So you can still have, 4 or 5 of your friends together to go through interview mode and just do a social catch up. So if that's friends, so we like to do a phone call or video call with grandparents or parents or whoever, like once a week, once every 2 weeks, and it's just easy to do that. And so even with all of that, I think I'm still at like 70 hours or something, so I have a lot of time left. So they give you a lot of time, so it's not too bad.
They give you a ton of time.
They do, and you can purchase additional time if you run over.
That goes back to that virtual webcam as well. It's like talking about, like, let's say that one of your friends set something up and you're not using Ecamm, so you didn't set it up, so you're not using Ecamm, and you want to use, like a Google Meet or something along those lines. You can use the virtual webcam to go attend those social bits, and that's a really big deal as well. So again, a lot of flexibility when it comes to using the software for that particular bit.
Yes. I saw a comment here from, I don't want to butcher it, Nidnasia, and they're asking if you can buy a lifetime license. Now, I don't know if I've ever seen the lifetime license. I did see at Christmas time, I had made a video that they were doing a lifetime discount. And so it was kind of a, lock in a certain price, and then you'll keep paying that forever as long as you stay with them. So I don't believe I've seen them do a pay once for the rest of your life.
I
think it would be really hard for them to do that, because there's so much development and additional features that they're adding a lot of the time that I don't know that they would be able to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the lifetime license. I've seen the lifetime discount like they did at Christmas. And I don't know. Like, that was a crazy
That was such a good
deal.
discount.
So,
I was trying to tell everyone, I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, go get this, because it hasn't been this since they raised the price when Pro and interview mode came out. So it's just like, it's such a good value. Oh my gosh, because if you start to add up what you're paying for, if you're paying for Zoom, if you're paying for like other features, I was just like, this is only like a couple dollars more, and it's so much better. It's so much better. So I would highly encourage people to check that out.
So much better.
Okay, so the next one we're going to move into after social catch-ups is going to be webinars. So a lot of people are doing webinars, using Zoom for webinars, using Google Meet, for webinars, and you can do webinars and host them inside of Ecamm as well. So the way that most people would probably set this up is you are going to then push from Ecamm into probably, like, let's say an event in Facebook or an unlisted video in YouTube, or maybe even something in like Vimeo. And the cool thing about that, you could actually push into other programs as well, but then you have access to play recorded videos. You can play PowerPoint presentations or keynote presentations. You can play like all kinds of overlays. You can make the experience truly so much better, have all of your music going, and it's a really great way to like make your webinars look really professional. And if you were to take that webinar and actually record it, you could also store it so that you could like call on it later if you needed to. But webinars are a really great way to utilize the software as well, because there's just so many ways that you can use it. So I don't know if you wanted to say anything on that.
I was going to say, like, I think one of the big things that a lot of people forget about is like, I really love to be doing this particular, like, I need to go through, me on camera where I'm talking about it. Then I want to, go to a PowerPoint presentation or an Excel document or some other document. And then I want to go to a web page and show all this other stuff. You can do all those things with literally just a few clicks of a button at the very top of Ecamm. So you can record these great webinars where you are on the fly doing these things where it looks tremendously professional. And then again, it is super simple to use. And that's probably the biggest thing that I think people really need to understand is there's a lot of these full-packed features in there where, like, okay, we're on camera right now, but if I wanted to pull up something and say, hey, let's take a look at this web page, or let's read this story together, to where I want to click this story and minimize my window where I'm still on screen talking about what they're seeing on screen. All of that stuff is done and possible through the power of Ecamm with just a few clicks. And that's why I keep coming back to this, is the idea that it has so much in terms of features and it's easy to use. And I use it every day. Like, I know some people might be like, oh, it's so expensive. But I literally use it every single day and have recorded things professionally and personally that I have put out because it has that many features.
So we had a question from Juan Santiago, and he said, what is a webinar? So a webinar is going to be like an online lesson that you are hosting. Perhaps you're running through like a slideshow presentation. It's meant to be educational in nature, and sometimes, not all times, it's used in conjunction with like selling people into, let's say, a course or some sort of program or something like that. So you see a lot of people, they'll also do webinars as a lead up to, hey, now that you've learned this thing, enroll in my course. So it's used by a lot of people as part of like a funnel system to get people to purchase items from them. So you might see someone do like a master class in like social media, and then what they really want you to do is purchase then their program about learning how to be a social media manager or something like that. Hopefully that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And you can still use this, and again, using this for educational purposes, but you want to have the interaction with the audience, is you can use other services, like maybe you want to do some sort of voting on a website, where you can then click over to that website while you're doing your webinar live, of course, and have folks in the audience already voting on those things. All of that stuff then shows up in the recording for you. That's as intuitive as it gets.
Awesome. All right, anything else you want to say on webinars?
No, I'm good. I've attended a lot of them in my day.
I know, right? All right, so the next one is going to be membership streams that are set unlisted on YouTube or uploaded to other sites. So that's going to be a lot of the people who may have things like memberships or anything like that. You can actually do private live streams, or even if you wanted to, not even live stream it and just invite people to basically a conference call. This is also really, really great for if you happen to be working with a team and you guys needed to have some sort of team meeting. Just basically anywhere you would use a video conferencing software program, you could use Ecamm instead, and take advantage of all kinds of like awesome, cool overlays, graphics, and like the nicer camera, and the ability to, you can still share your screen and go through slides and go to a website. So basically insert any other program that you would normally use, you can use Ecamm as well. So that's pretty much.
I mean, it is a supercharged version. I mean, it's a supercharged version of a lot of the video conferencing programs that are out there. You can do everything that those video conferencing programs can do, and a tremendous amount more. It's like when somebody starts to talk about it, it's like, well, why should I use this versus something else? It's like the potential is limitless when it comes to this particular pit.
Now it says that there's 20 people still watching this, so I would like it, if you guys are gaining any kind of like new tips or tricks, I want you to leave a thumbs up on this video. Yes, and say, drop a peach emoji if you are still here. Anyone test who's still here in the chat. If you're still listening, drop a peach emoji in honor of my co-host here, Scott Peachy.
I was going to say I will go in here myself. It's like I will drop a peach emoji because I have it pulled up right here. I'm going to drop a peach emoji right here.
Make sure you guys are still listening. Still out there, still listening. Give a peach emoji. Oh yeah. All right. Sweet. At least you're still here and listening.
That's what I did to my. I was going to say, I'm still here. Me and you. I'm still here.
I know, right? I love this. And if you guys are out there, tell us, how are you guys using Ecamm? Guys and gals out there, how are you using it? Because I'd love to see if it's something that's already been on the list or something that we haven't yet gotten to. Drop a comment on how you use Ecamm so that we know how you're using it. I love that. And I'm going to pop in here and also drop
I would love to know that.
And then you can move on to the next one. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, our next one, let me go pull up the show notes really quick as we talk about recording vertical. Well, you have memberships, we just did that, and recording vertically for videos that are going to be put in vertical sites. Now, you are the vertical expert. You are the one person that I go to watch everything related to making vertical video content. I dare say that you are the greatest expert on the internet when it comes to vertical video content. The idea that you don't stop it. You just quit it. The idea that you can record this content. Again, I always like, from the vertical video perspective, it was always such a pain for me to put stuff in vertical. Like it's not easy. Like, oh, how do I record it? Well, if I record it wrong and I don't record it the right way, holy crap, what am I going to do, right? But I want to know, you have recently discovered that Ecamm can now help you record vertical video content. Help me get better at vertical video, because I am really bad at it.
I actually put in a feature request. I said, I know we can record vertical, but can we stream vertical? And I think they were kind of like, who's going to do that? And I was like, I want to do that. So I think they might even be looking into that. But at least for now, I can record vertical content. And here's actually how I'm using it. A lot of the time, I'm hooking up my phone or my iPad into Ecamm. I'm using it as a source, and I'm recording basically my screen without having to do a screen recording, because when you're doing a screen recording, you're more limited on all of the things and buttons and things that you can show. So if I'm actually just using it as a source inside of Ecamm, I don't have those same restrictions, so I can do more. So I'm editing things like how to do Instagram stories and, different examples. And then I'm able to record that content and actually edit it in Final Cut Pro and upload it as either like a short or an IGTV. And it has been so much faster, because before I was trying to do it through QuickTime and the quality wasn't as good, and it took so much longer. So I really, really love it that now I can record inside of Ecamm, especially using my phone. And that's just another tip for you guys. If you guys are also, if you have older phones that are laying around, iPods, iPads, stuff like that, you can hook it up to your computer via USB. You can use the camera, the app, and you can use it as multiple angles, other sources, overhead shots. So I've been playing around with trying to, I had tried to use webcams and they were not as good. So I actually busted out an old iPhone 10, and I have an iPhone 7, and now because it still can shoot and give you good video, you can actually just use that. And I've also done it where I've hooked up on Wi-Fi and I've called in like it was a guest, and then did it as an overhead shot. Because I was running out of USB ports. So I was like, you know what I can do is I can get on Wi-Fi and join as a guest. So I did that as a top-down shot for something. And then the other one, I hooked up an iPad to it via USB so I could use it as a screen share. So there's tons of ways and flexibility, because I could never have that before. And one of the really cool things is I can be on screen here. I can have my phone here and showing you on screen at the same time. And it's so much better for the experience to be able to not only hear it, see it, but also make eye contact as well. So I love that.
Carlos in the chat kind of mentioned the idea Instagram video, and this is just mostly me, and I can't believe I'm going to admit this. So I record everything in vertical and all that other stuff. Can I upload that vertical stuff from my Mac to Instagram?
Yes.
That's literally how novice I am.
Well, and here's the thing too. If you're recording things for IGTV, vertical video that way, if you want to record a vertical video, if you want to upload a vertical video that's over 10 minutes, you have to do it through a computer. Because you can technically do, 30 to 60 minutes or something like that. So you can do longer, but you have to upload it from a computer instead of from your phone. So you can only record or upload things that are up to 10 minutes or 15 minutes off of your phone. But then if you go off your computer, you can do longer videos. As long as they're still under a certain file size, you can upload it from your computer. So
riddle me this. This is just me. Again, Shelly is not prepared for the next question I'm about to ask her, so sorry. So why would I never not use Ecamm then? I feel if I could do, I already have to use something like Ecamm or my computer to upload to Instagram Live or Instagram TV, IGTV. Wouldn't it just be easier to use and get the professionalism from Ecamm, even for my short 0 to 10 minutes? And it just, to me, it feels like the barrier to entry to IGTV in the vertical format would just be so much lower using a program like Ecamm.
For recording, yes.
Absolutely. Barrier to entry to TikTok, it seems so much easier just to use a program like this. Vertical. She did not know that question was coming.
No,
that was literally
and that's what I'm saying. Now that I know that you can record the vertical videos, that's why I'm doing so many of the phone and iPad type tutorials that I'm doing right now. I'm recording them using Ecamm because the quality is higher than just doing screen recording off of my phone or screen recording through QuickTime. I love doing it through Ecamm instead. And I can see exactly on screen what is being shown and what isn't, so I know. I'm doing most of my vertical stuff now through Ecamm as well, and recording that way. So yes, absolutely. So someone's asking, Chris,
I know I'm kind of skipping around the comments. Is Josh mentioned in the comments is do you also use it for TikToks?
I have, yes.
There we go.
Yes. So someone
Sorry,
said,
I interrupted.
No, you're fine. Chris Steiner said meditation videos, workout videos, and now I'm thinking about courses. So that is probably referring back to how are you using Ecamm? And then he said, do you need a capture card for each source? So I'm going to say if you're using a phone or an iPad, no capture card required. If you're using certain Canon cameras with the new kind of EOS utility or just a USB, you don't need a capture card now that they've made that update. If you're using something I'm using a Panasonic G7 or certain other cameras, you would probably need the Elgato Capture Cam Link card for something like that. If it's not, I think Sony has just recently released also something for USB. Don't quote me on that. In the last few weeks.
A lot of them did. A lot of companies that make DSLR cameras or mirrorless cameras provided some sort of update in the middle part of 2020 because they realized that people have these cameras lying around but cannot use them. I'm currently plugged into my Canon camera directly into my Mac via USB Type-C.
Yep.
And like Shelly said, that you have the ability to do that with a lot of Canon cameras. I think Sony is another way that they're doing it.
Yep.
I believe that Nikon has two, and I'm trying to think of other ones. Those are the big ones I can think of.
Yeah. So let's see. Environmental Coffee House says, I use Final Cut Pro and I love Ecamm. Our shows have movies, graphics, and everything. Yes, absolutely. Scott and I are both Final Cut Pro users. In fact, that was another thing that we bonded over. We're both Ecamm lovers. We're both lovers of Final Cut Pro. So you can be part of our club, Environmental Coffee House, because I also love coffee. So anyone who loves coffee, you are okay with me. It says, I have a Canon EOS 7, but I think it only has a 29-minute video, so I need to have another shot when that goes off. Wonder if off switch cameras, could I restart the camera? Okay, so here's one thing. If you're using Canon cameras or any camcorders, most of the DSLRs will have an internal shutoff at 29 because there's this weird manufacturing rule that if it goes over 30 minutes, then technically it has to be classified as a camcorder and is subject to different taxes. So a lot of them will have that internal shutoff. One thing that I love about Ecamm, first of all, is because you're not actually technically recording onto the memory card in the camera, you're not subject to the 29-minute time limit. So I've done 4-hour live streams just running through the USB or HDMI cable that's connected to the Cam Link capture card or the USB connection to the camera itself. Now, another thing that's really, really awesome, and this is on the list, is that when you are using and recording to your memory card, it usually is going to split up your files into 4 gigabyte chunks at a time. So each file is about a certain amount of time, but it's 4 gigabytes in size. When you get a recording at the end of your whatever recording session that you've done in Ecamm, you get one video file, and it has the entire length of whatever you recorded. So whether that's a 3-hour live stream or a 5-minute whatever, you'll have one video file instead of multiples in 4 gig chunks. So I find that really, really helpful as well, because if I want to run that through Handbrake, or I want to bring in that one file to Final Cut Pro, or if I need to share that one file, there's no mixing it up in different orders and is it named correctly. It is just one and done. I don't know how else to say. It's just one and done. Hopefully that helps.
I was going to say, and that goes to there's been a lot of great comments about this that are out there right now. Going through their comments, I'm looking off screen here. Is Environmental Coffee House. Thank you so much. I'm really super happy that you're so excited. Thank you so much. Shelly is mostly awesome. I'm just really just a sidekick at this point. But again, from the memory card perspective, like Shelly had mentioned, 4-hour live streams. I've been live streaming using my Canon on a battery, might I add, because of the whole internet fiasco at the beginning. Plugged directly in, never had any issues. I accidentally left my camera on, plugged into my Mac, literally overnight about a week ago. So it went 24-ish hours straight. Nice. Never had an issue.
Yeah. And I will find that if you are going to have very long recording sessions as well, one tip I would always say is never rely solely on a battery, but a actual AC adapter, like a dummy battery for your camera. And it's not something then that you'll have to worry about is, if your battery dies, then your stream can die. So I would definitely recommend that. You can usually pick one up on Amazon for around $25 or so for your particular make or model of camera. So I would highly encourage you to do something like that. I have one on my cameras, and it's definitely better than having to worry about, is my camera battery charged and how long will it go? I would definitely say that.
Yeah, I had the dummy I was gonna say I had the dummy battery in with mine, but again, I just kind of threw a battery in this one, and hey, my live stream stuff packs into a backpack. I'm pretty excited about that. I was freaking out earlier today.
Yeah, so Scott, unfortunately, they're doing a internet outage type of repair or something, and so
Yeah.
he messaged me a little bit frantic, and he's like, I don't know what to do, and he packed up his entire studio basically, and he moved it to a friend's house. So this is not his normal.
Yep.
I think it looks great though, but I will say one general principle when it comes to live streaming, I know it seems scary, is you learn to roll with the punches and go with the next best alternative. Like, what's the next best thing I can do? And it really will help you in so many different situations just from going live, I have to say. But I do want to talk a little bit.
There was a comment in here about the whole I haven't gone live yet. You literally just nailed it. Best advice I can give in terms of that, use it, go live. You have it. The software is not going to be the problem. I assure you of that. It'll be it's quick and it's very easy to use. The biggest obstacle that you have going live is basically just pushing yourself to do it.
Yeah, and it is a growth opportunity for you because you really get to see like that deer in headlights. But I feel like the more that you do it, the more accustomed you become to like, well, that didn't work, let's try something else. So I had a friend on and, you know, it was like, oh, this isn't working. Okay, let's try this. And so you become a lot more resilient and creative. Whereas if you never do any of that stuff and the first time like something bad happens, you're just like, I don't know what to do. And you're frozen and paralyzed with this fear. And I think that if you really want to grow and stretch yourself, then live streaming can definitely help you with so much of that. And not only that, but for people who are busy, live streaming not only is a great way for you to get out another video during the week or whatever it is, it's the best way for you to interact with your audience and get real-time feedback. So you can have a conversation with them, you can clear up any misunderstandings. If you're a teacher or a coach, you can say, this is what I mean. You can, you know, ask the questions of your, you know, students or people. It is so rewarding to be able to have that conversation in real time. And I think the more that you start live streaming, the more you'll start realizing how much better it is sometimes than recorded videos. I'm just going to put that out there. But we are going to talk a little bit about recorded versus live stream because for a lot of people, there is just this mental block and barrier when it comes to live streaming. I mean, right? You just kind of like, you freak out the first couple of times or like one mistake happens and you just shut off the live. And now you're just like, hang out, guys. We're going to fix this. And you just get that with experience and time. So I have to say, if you're going to be recording, there's a lot of benefits to it. So it takes that mental headspace out of going live. Okay. That's definitely one thing right there. And one thing that has happened so many times, cannot tell you, is if you're not doing test shots for audio and video, even doing a simple recording snippet to your computer and then realizing my mic is blown out, my mic's not on at all, anything like that, it can save you so much more time down the road if you just take a little recording snippet of your, you know, your lights, your situation, everything that's going on. Because I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people be like, I recorded 4 videos in a row, yay for batch filming, never plugged in the mic.
Oh, I am one of those people that have done that. Like, oh my gosh, my microphone was like, I had it on, right? Had it on, totally muted. I've done that. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. And when you're doing the recording, you can check all this stuff again, because in Ecamm, you can actually in the upper, let's see, for me, in the very upper right-hand corner, I can click on the little microphone-looking thing and see exactly the audio levels that I have to even see if I'm muted. That's incredible. The idea is like I can check and see that. So if I want to do batch recording, I can literally sat down. Okay, I got my Canon plugged in, everything ready to go. I'm checking my audio levels. Okay, I'm ready to go. I can record now. Pow. Yeah. And I never got out of the shot. Everything that you see is still in the shot right here, and I don't have to worry about it. I can check everything that I have, and before I even get ready to do the whole recording, because I can't tell you how many times I have been mad at myself for mics all strapped up, ready to go. Oh yeah, batch recording, 45 minutes of recording, all lost.
It's happened to me as well. I had a new mic that I was using, and I thought, oh, it should be the same as my other mic. And it turned out that it was so hot that all of the audio was so blown out, I couldn't use any of it. And I was so mad at myself because I was like, if I had just taken 30 seconds to do a mic check, And the reason I didn't do it was because I was recording directly onto a memory card, and this sounds so dumb, but I had to get up out of my seat, take the memory card out of the camera, put it into my laptop, listen to the feedback, and I was like, oh, no, I'm sure it's fine. When you think and you assume something is fine, it's almost always going to come back and bite you in the butt and be like, this is not fine. This is not fine, Shelly.
It's not.
So I will say, and that's the next thing on the list is, like I said, I love the fact that, one, I don't have to get up out of my seat and go get the memory card and stick it into the computer and all of that stuff. And I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally unplugged my card while Final Cut Pro is reading something off of it as well.
Oh, yes.
So the fact that, one, it's one video file, it's already saved to my computer's hard drive. I can open it all from sitting right here and never having to get up. I know that sounds like first world problems. I don't want to get up 5 feet and get the card and retrieve it, but it actually is going to come in handy so many times. So I'm just going to put that out there. And I do want to acknowledge Environmental Coffee House. Thank you for hanging in there with us. You got a whole wall of text here. I'm not going to read all of it, but I do want to say, so I can seriously use my old iPad as just a camera. Oh my God, I am dying and I'm gone to heaven. Yes, absolutely. I hope heaven is welcoming you with iPads. Yes, absolutely. You can do that. And and I record interviews in Ecamm, and then I edit in iMovie or Final Cut Pro. Honestly, I've done the same. I've done that. Yeah. I recorded an interview, and then I had it on my computer, ran it through Final Cut Pro, and then extracted the audio and put that up on Anchor. So I've done the exact same thing. So no, do not apologize for commenting too much. Love it. Love seeing it. Thank you so much for continuing to do it. So absolutely. If you guys are enjoying this, by the way, give this video a thumbs up. I know we're coming up on the end of the lunch hour here that we promised you, so we're going to try and get through these last ones. And if you guys have any other questions or comments, make sure you drop them so that we can read them out loud or talk to you about them.
Yep.
So let's see. Oh, okay. So I wanted to also say, I record now all of my main channel videos inside of Ecamm and record them to my computer. One, for the memory card. Two, for the fact that all of my scenes are already set up with my Elgato Stream Deck, and I'm able to do things like with overlays, my like, subscribe animation, the social media handles that I have, the little thing that says like, hey, you can get my course, it's out now. Or I have a thing that comes up and says, thank you to all of my channel members. If you're interested in channel memberships, check this out. So all of those are already input as scenes and animated overlays. So I just press them in order. I say the blurb that I need to. And that means that when I bring that file into Final Cut Pro, I don't have to go in and add each one of those overlays as part of my video editing. It cuts down my editing so much because all of that is already on screen. And not only that, but I can record in 4K and process it all, and it looks great. So almost all of my new videos have been exclusively done, recorded inside of Ecamm, brought into Final Cut Pro, edited, and then exported up to YouTube. So I find that just so much easier for my workflow, just in general, and the fact that I don't have to sit there and edit.
And one of the crux of the issue is like when people talk about like, I don't know where to get started in doing all this. It's like, I feel like I have to have the best camera to do this, that, and the other. It's like, well, hold on a minute. Let's talk about the workflow that you're trying to go through here. And like Shelly had just mentioned, she has streamlined her entire workflow to make it easier to put content out. And that's probably the biggest thing out of all of this is, how do I streamline my workflow? And streamlining your workflow is working through something like an Ecamm, to where you only have to worry about the content. You can batch record, you can do click drop downs, overlays, all the stuff that you would do in post. But again, that takes time. If I can load all this stuff up into one particular piece, plow all the way through it, and then just upload, I'm pushing out the content the way that I would want to in the quickest, most efficient way. And by the way, we're not cutting corners in terms of quality either. Shelly just talked about it. Pushing out in 4K. More people are watching on their phones, which are not 4K, might I add. So you're already pushing out quality that it kind of goes beyond what people are already using to watch the content. So you're more than meeting your audience where they need to be from a quality perspective, and you're streamlining your workflow so you can quite possibly just keep pushing out and not have to worry about putting your, I got to do this over here in multiple cameras. Like, no, hang on. Let's get a piece of software that makes all of that stuff easy for me so I can concentrate on connecting with my audience.
That was right on. Love that. So I'd like to see if anyone else has any other ways that they're using Ecamm or any other like questions. I'd love to try and get through those. I think we're on our very last things right here. So we talked a little bit about interview mode. We've talked about now when you're getting started live streaming. And I don't know if we'll have a ton of time to get into this, so you guys will have to bug and poke the people at Ecamm to say, we want Scott and Shelly to come back to do another episode on basically what to do when no one is watching, ideas for getting started with live streaming, you know, building topics and stuff like that, because we would love to come back and talk with you about that. Because I will say there is this, like I said, there's a mental block. There's an entire thing that is so scary when it comes to going live. But now I'm kind of like, yeah, live, let's do it. So much better than like any other type of video. And it takes a while. It's a mental shift to get to that new way of thinking. And it's, I think it would be really cool because you're using it for, you know, podcasting, and I've done it for podcasting, but also just I have a regular now weekly show that's live on my channel, and I look forward to that video more than I look forward to my Sunday recorded video, because I just like being with the audience so much more. So if you guys want an episode on that, you guys have to bug and poke the people at Ecamm to be like, we need Scott and Shelly back.
Yeah, I would love that. And like I guess one of the things that I would say is, like, I thought about the live stuff a little bit differently than most folks. Is yes, I want to connect with the audience, but for me, I actually looked at live. I will say this: if you work in some sort of office setting where you're interacting with individuals or anything like that, how many times have we been in an office setting where, you know, maybe the big boss sits across from a desk for you and they ask you a question and you're like, I don't think I know the answer. And like, when you go live, you have to make this stuff off the top of your head. One key thing that I have learned, and I've done 113 live shows, so I am well versed in going live. A couple weeks ago, I went live when YouTube went down, and you literally figure that stuff out by the seat of your pants. Is I have learned the skill set in preparing myself for the unknown when I'm in my professional setting. So yes, I use Ecamm both professionally and personally, mostly personally, but the ability to go live, even when no one's watching, you are learning a skill set that you can take and bring into a professional setting. And that's one of the reasons why I am absolutely drawn to live stuff. Shelly is right on. I go live, and that's the video I'm most excited about every single week, no question.
Yeah. So if you have not gone live yet, we'd love to hear any reasons why that is, but we are going to wrap things up for today. But leave a comment, because we will, I'm sure, obsessively come back and read them, or maybe that's just me. I obsessively come back and read chat/comments, and I will try to respond to as many as I can. But Scott, where can the people find you if they want to hang out with you more?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Scott Peachy. That's the fuzzy fruit with an EY on the end. And then on Instagram at the Scott Peachy, again, still fuzzy fruit with an EY on the end. YouTube.com/technically speaking.
Awesome. And
what about you, Shelly? Where can they find you?
I was going into it. If you guys want to check out more of me online, you can do so on Shelly Saves the Day. And on Twitter, it's under Shelly Saves the. So I would love to hang out with you more and talk with you, especially about Ecamm or any other thing in general. But we want to thank Ecamm so much for letting us take over the channel today. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys out there. If it was helpful, give this video a thumbs up, both on the video and in the chat, because we're vain like that. We want to see it all. We want to see the people who did it.
Yeah.
But we hope you guys have an awesome day. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And if you haven't yet checked out Ecamm, there is a link in the description. You can check it out for a 14-day free trial. Absolutely get in there, play around with all of the features. Also, the links for Scott and myself are both down there in the description box as well. So thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we will see you hopefully in a video very soon. Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.